This is the Carl Thursday walkthrough. Carl, the official healthcare provider of Fighting Illini Athletics. Welcome back to the Thursday walkthrough presented by Carl. Martin O'Donnell here with Coach Lovie Smith. And Coach, one thing that your defense has done a pretty good job of this year is forcing fumbles. And I know one thing that you want to really help establish here is kind of that takeaway culture on defense. How is that progressing here in year two?
Well, the message is definitely there to the players. They realize how important it is to win the turnover ratio, and a part of winning the turnover ratio is taking the ball away on the defensive side. Interceptions come and go, but especially for fumbles, that has to be an art, and you have to first establish what is the goalie's play. Mm-hmm. Of course, on defense, it's to score, and to score, you have to get the ball away. You can't wait for the offense to turn it over. You take it away. So we practice a lot. The guys know how important it is, and we'll continue to work on it.
Well, in this week, Ohio State should be, big stage. Obviously, a team that has a lot of the attention out there. And how much with this young team, and I think in particular on the offensive line, with some young offensive linemen, how do you help prepare them throughout the week of going into a situation like that that's certainly going to be loud?
Well, first off, our players realize, even though we have a lot of young players, they realize who we're playing, and they know a little bit about the environment. But there's a time when our practices, there weren't any noise, but there is music, loud music every day. So having to concentrate and get the signals, especially for offensive linemen, there are a lot of line calls that you make. Don't think it'll be that much of a shock to them. But again, we haven't played in front of a crowd like this, and every step along the way with the young football team is new for them, and we'll handle it well.
Well, and building on that piece too, one of the strengths of Ohio State's defense really is their front. They roll a lot of guys through there, certainly have been able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback this year. And, Illinois offensively hasn't been able to protect quarterbacks as much as I'm sure you would like.
Yes.
At a high level, what are some of the things that offensively can be done to help with that?
Well, first off, just staying out of long yardage passing situation. You can always start with being able to run the football. It's not like they do a lot of stunning and things like that. We'll pretty much know who we're supposed to block. But as a young lineman, you need to go through a situation like this where you're right there, great players at just about every position. As a young player, you're looking forward to playing against the best, even though they played against a lot of good linemen, defensive linemen so far. So we'll prepare them best we can, and we'll see another step that we'll take this week.
It seems like about the past month, so maybe the past 4 games or so, the game script has been somewhat similar, in terms of being right there in the second half, not able to finish. But I know you and your staff obviously analyzing the game film a lot more than me or the Illinois fan base are. What are some of the improvements that you're seeing with the Illini?
Well, we're getting closer. And first off, you have to, what we want to be offensively, run the football, trying to stay out of long yardage situation, and then just keep fighting, keeping the games close initially, and having an opportunity to win in the fourth quarter. A lot has to go into that. We have some areas of our team that are taking steps. Defensive line took a big step, of course, this week, but as much as anything, as you take steps along the way, now we're to the point where we're in the fourth quarter and the game is close. And then when that critical moment comes, somebody needs to make a play. That's what it eventually comes down. You want to be in the game in the fourth quarter and then finish strong, and somebody has to make a good play.
Well, looking at the team defensively, seems to have done a little bit better job of stopping the run. You mentioned the defensive line again in front seven, playing well earlier this week. Are the gap responsibilities there by and large? Are guys playing within the defense?
Yes, they are, and that's why you have to like some of the things we're doing. There's a period of time when we weren't where we were supposed to be, and we didn't have the trust amongst teammates that I don't have to do somebody else's job. He'll take care of his. I need to take care of mine. But we're closer to there. We're seeing that a lot more, and that's where you should get better and better once you get to that point. Now, after I know what gaps I'm supposed to take, play harder, and then when I get to the ball, be able to take it away a few more times, then you're playing good defense.
Well, and Coach, it's the month of November, no shave November, Movember. You're a pretty clean-shaven guy. Was there a point in time where you were rocking some facial hair?
Absolutely. Once you're as old as I am, I've kind of been through all of the different phases. I'm also bald, now. And there was a time when I had an afro, like you probably know Link on Mod Squad. That's really going back. And as far as the facial hair, I wore a mustache for a lot of years.
Okay.
You know, when you're young, you just can't wait until you can grow a beard and a mustache. And when you get a little older, you wish you didn't have any facial hair. So I'm at that point right now.
So was it primarily just mustache, or was it goatee? Did you do a Fu Manchu? What were you working with? Did you do the pork chop sideburn?
I had the sidelines, of course. Back in the day when you had a fro, it normally went with the sideburns also. But as much as anything, it was just a straight mustache.
That's pretty. It's a classic look.
Classic look for me at the time.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Things have changed a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. So knowing that you're a fan of movies, okay, if you have a choice, are you watching a comedy, a documentary, or a drama?
In an ideal world, it's just hard to beat a good comedy. You know, I like, you know, dramas also, and, you know, I'm married, so, I mean, there are, I don't know if you should say the word chick flicks or whatever,
Yeah,
but
sure.
if that's okay.
Rom-com, yeah, all that stuff.
But I can do that also. But as much as anything, comedies is hard to beat. And if you can, you know, Martin, if you can laugh just about each day, you're in a pretty good place. So love watching comedies.
Now, ideally, is it going to be kind of a highbrow comedy? Are you a screwball comedy, just good dumb comedy? I mean, what's the preference there?
All of the above.
How did I know you'd say all of the above?
It is all of the above because I think as a comedy, I mean, even with some of the dramas that have some comedy in them, it's all good. And so I have a wide variety. I have a wide variety of tastes in movies just in general. So I can take it any different way.
Okay, and so staying on movies, football movies. Give me a football movie that obviously you have to be somewhat critical of the genre. You know, spending your life in football. Is there a football movie out there, a couple movies where you know maybe people wouldn't expect you to be a big fan of? And that gets you right.
Yeah, I mean, you probably wouldn't expect that I would like The Waterboy, but there are a lot of funny scenes to Waterboy that you like, and anything with a football theme, of course. You know, I do like, but just football movies in general, and not necessarily one that people wouldn't think I would like, but just Remember the Titans. I mean, that's based on a true story, number one, but it's pretty hard to beat it.
Yeah, that's a good one. One Waterboy too. It's hard to imagine you liking a movie about a hard-hitting linebacker, right? I mean, that's
hard-hitting linebackers with again with a lot of funny scenes in it.
It stays well hydrated.
It's easy. You're right. It's easy to love.
Okay, so jumping to Game of Thrones really quick. We've touched on it briefly before. You know, really Game of Thrones being kind of the story of, you know, the Starks versus the Lannisters.
Yes.
Cersei Lannister, what's her deal? What's the motivation?
Well, I think it's a pretty interesting character, if you ask me. I mean, when you're, you know, nowadays when you're a woman with that type of power and that type of role, having to make so many decisions, so that's why you just have to kind of, in a different way, I just kind of admire, you know, some of the things she has to do and how she's focused, has a plan, and knows her role also and what's expected of her now that she's moved into the top seat.
That's pretty enlightening. That's good. Okay. Deviating to something different. Okay, social media. Obviously, you're engaged in social media as a head coach. You know, certainly a lot of the narratives in our society these days in some way touch on social media one way or another or get projected via social media. Is that something that you think is helping our culture or harming it?
Well, I think it can. There can be good in it, of course, but I just think we're to a point now where I assume it's helping a little bit, but you know, it's about, a lot of it is about self-promotion, and that just didn't go as much with the team approach. So I think as an organization, using social media to get your message across is a great thing. Using it more for self-promotion, I have a little bit of a problem with. Our players are all, of course, all young people are really in tune to communicating that way. So I think that can be a good thing, and of course, as long as you're communicating the right way with it, it can be a good thing. Well, how's that?
That's pretty good. I'll take it, yeah. Yeah. Coach, I appreciate you making time again, and thanks for
you.
stopping by the Thursday walkthrough. This is the Carl Thursday walkthrough. Carl, the official healthcare provider of Fighting Illini Athletics.
Looking for a card that gives you more? Illini Visa Rewards Card. Earn points every day to fly any airline, anytime, no blackout dates. The Illini Visa Rewards Card. Available only through U of I Community Credit Union.